If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
Smotrich vows to bury the Palestinian state idea. His plan, a settlement cutting the West Bank from East Jerusalem. Netanyahu smiles. Trump stays silent. Mossad chief rushes to Doha as hostage deal hangs in balance. Is this peace being made or maps being redrawn? Israeli far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich announced work would start on a long-delayed settlement that would divide the West Bank and cut it off from East Jerusalem. A move his office said would bury the idea of a Palestinian state. Standing at the site in Maale Adumim, Smotrich said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump had agreed to the revival of the E1 scheme, though there was no immediate confirmation from either.
We stand here in Maale Adumim and clearly announce the seal has broken. The E1 plan, Maale Adumim, is hitting the road. For over 2 decades, we were told soon it's coming, right after the elections, and today we are finally fulfilling the promise and connecting Maale Adumim to Jerusalem, our one and only capital. A strategic, security, and demographic connection that ensures our united capital for generations to come. Whoever in the world is trying to recognize a Palestinian state today will receive our answer on the ground. Not with documents, nor with decisions or statements, but with facts. Facts of houses, facts of neighborhoods, roads, and of more and more Jewish families building lives. They will speak of the false Palestinian dream. We will continue to build a fulfilling Jewish reality. This reality definitively buries the idea of a Palestinian state, simply because there is nothing to recognize and no one to recognize.
Smotrich further said that Netanyahu supports his plan to build thousands of homes for Israeli settlers on a piece of land that would connect East Jerusalem to the large West Bank settlement of Maale Adumim.
Everything I do in Judea and Samaria is being done in full coordination with Netanyahu and with his blessing. It's done in full coordination with our friends in the White House, with President Trump, with his team, with Ambassador Huckabee.
Notably, Israel froze construction plans at Maale Adumim in 2012 and again after a revival in 2020 because of objections from the US, European allies, and other powers who considered the project a threat to any future peace deal with the Palestinians. The move could further isolate Israel, which has watched some of its Western allies condemn its military offensive in Gaza in the war with Palestinian militant group Hamas and announce they will recognize a Palestinian state. The Palestinian government, allies, and campaign groups condemned the scheme, calling it illegal and saying the fragmentation of territory would rip up any internationally backed peace plans for the region. Palestinians fear the settlement building in the West Bank, which has sharply intensified since the 2023 Hamas attack on Israel that led to the Gaza war, will rob them of any chance to build a state of their own in the area. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham delivered an emphatic defense of Israel on the night of August 13th during a South Carolina Republican Party rally, telling the party's evangelical supporters that the US must continue to stand firmly with its Middle East ally.
But tonight, it's late at night, Israel is in a fight for their lives. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people who would kill them all if they could. I am tired of the word genocide. Let me tell you about genocide. If Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could. They have the capability to do that. They choose not to. Hamas, they would commit genocide in 30 seconds. They just can't. And that's the big difference, folks. To people in my party, I'm tired of this crap. Israel is our friend. They're the most reliable friend we have in the Mideast. They're a democracy, surrounded by people who would cut their throats if they could. This is not a hard choice if you're an American. It's not a hard choice if you're a Christian. A word of warning. If America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us. And we're not going to let that happen. So I just want to end with this thought that President Trump has stood with Israel at the most difficult time since its founding. October the 7th was an effort to destroy the state of Israel, the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust. And here we are almost 2 years later, and Israel's the bad guy. That's ridiculous. Israel is not the bad guy. They're the good guy. The bad guys are the radical Islamists who would kill everybody in this room if they could. So I haven't lost my vision of right and wrong. When it comes to foreign policy, President Trump has stood up for all the right things, and he stood up against wrong things, just like Reagan.
Local health authorities said Israeli forces demolished houses in eastern areas of Gaza City overnight, killing at least 11 people in aerial and tank fire, as Hamas told mediators it was ready to resume ceasefire talks. Residents and medics said 8 people were killed when Israeli tank shelling hit a house in the Zaytun neighborhood, while a man was killed in an airstrike on a building in the nearby Shajaya suburb. 2 other people were killed in a tank shelling in Tafah, a third Gaza City suburb. Local health authorities said they had received desperate calls from families trapped in the Zaytun area, including from people saying they were wounded and that ambulance vehicles could not reach them. Amid the ongoing Israeli offensive in Gaza, Mossad chief David Barnea travelled to Doha, Qatar, to meet with Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani. This comes after Hamas gave a green light to the possibility of resuming negotiations. Senior Hamas official Taher al-Nunu noted that talks would focus on ways to stop the war in the Strip, allow the entry of aid, and end the suffering of the people in Gaza. On the same line, a Hamas leadership delegation headed by Khalil al-Hayya had arrived in Cairo on August 13th to hold talks with senior Egyptian officials. Despite the visit, an Israeli official said that so far there has been no new message from the Palestinian group regarding the prospect of an agreement. Israel has not ruled out the possibility of sending a delegation for talks on a potential deal, but has made it clear that no decision has been made yet. While mediators Qatar and Egypt are trying to formulate a framework that would include the release of all hostages and an end to the war, the possibility of negotiating a partial deal involving the release of only 10 hostages has not been ruled out.